Ahead of the 2023 general elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission has tasked the media and civil societies organizations on providing accurate information and ensuring inclusivity for a seamless process. As the general election approaches, INEC and the media should continue to work together to counteract disinformation and misinformation in order not to undermine the electoral process. The media should bear in mind that the best antidote to fake news is greater openness and greater transparency. Therefore, we appeal to the media to always fact-check before posting any news. The Commission should continue with real-time collaboration with civil society organizations and its turnaround on feedback as things unfold for the 2023 general election. Remember, media practitioners, civil society organizations and voters are always at the center of election-related violence, hence the need for their protection. The media is specifically responsible for educating the voters on how to exercise their democratic rights, reporting on election campaigns, providing a platform for political parties and candidates to communicate their messages to the electorate, providing a platform for public feedback, concerns, opinions and need to political parties and candidates, the election management bodies, government and other electoral stakeholders, thus facilitating interactions on governance issues, reporting results and monitoring vote countings, scrutinizing the electoral process itself, including electoral management, in order to evaluate the fairness of the process, its efficiency and its probity, providing information in manner devoid of inflammatory language, and helping to prevent election-related violence. Elections are not just about the right to vote. Meanwhile, civil society organizations have recently been active and playing a vital role in democratizing Nigeria. Civil society should influence the 2023 elections through proper monitoring, civic voter education, active collaboration with electoral body, and collaboration with international donor agencies through what they call the Civil Society Situation Room, consisting of more than 60 registered civil societies. They should be empowered with constitutional backing and independent funding to enable them carry out their responsibilities adequately. Also, INEC should liaise more and cooperate with the civil societies to enable a better 2023 elections. Therefore, we appeal to Nigerians to use these opportunities or seize this opportunity to protect democracy and protect their interests. Push the ball back and take advantage of this election to vote for your right candidate.
Welcome back. What a very great intro. Now we'll go to my guest who is with us, who is equally a man on the field. He is a journalist par excellence, a media man to the core, and of course he too has covered electoral activities, so he will be giving you an insight of it. But principally, before I go, let me even just don't say too much. But I was just lucky last week. I was invited by the Labour Writers Association of Nigeria as a guest to be their guest speaker. And in that workshop, we discussed the agenda setting by the media towards the 2023 general election. If time permits us, we'll get a snippet of it. If not, maybe some other time we'll do it. But today, I'm with Mr. Ishaya Ibrahim.
Yes.
He is the editor.
News editor.
News editor, the niche newspaper.
Yeah.
And of course, not only is he an editor, he's a Luther reporter. So we welcome you to this program.
Thank you, Barrister.
Yes.
I'm grateful for the invitation.
Yes.
Yeah, you just referenced the Labour Writers Association, where you featured as a guest speaker.
Yes.
In the 2023 election, fortunately, the media has already set the agenda.
Yes.
That it is going to be issue-based. And then we're also demanding how. Because in the past, we've had candidates. Candidates will tell us, we'll provide 5 million jobs, we'll provide you 200,000 kilometer road, we'll do this, we'll do that. But none of them has been able to spell how they go about these things. And so it has always been years of broken promises. So by the 2023 election, we're insisting that, how do you intend to do it? And then we're confronted by liquidity issues, no enough money. So when you say you're going to do this, where do you intend to get the money from? And so you would have noticed that the debates that have been ongoing, and also those are the candidates that have been speaking, the questions that have always been asked is, how do you intend to do this?
Yes, before you go further, I want to ask this question. The media is a very strong platform,
yes,
all over, either social or
traditional media.
Traditional media. And I'm sure, because it's part of the idea I proposed as a guest speaker at this workshop that we had, that how will you create various platforms, because it's not just doing just one off thing, maybe by one television house or one radio house or one newspaper house. Each of the various segments, like the Labour now, I said, you are the Labour people, and as Labour reporters, you must engage the aspirants,
yes.
Because I know, as a lawyer that has been fighting for some unions, that their take-home pay don't take them home. So how do you do it?
It doesn't even take them to the bus stop.
It doesn't even take them to the bus stop. As soon as they get to the gate, the money is finished, because everyone knows the payday. They come there and say, "Where is my hand?" They begin to share it to all those that they are taking money from. So how do they interact? How do they get them engaged? Not that they too will come on their own organized platform, talk to the people, and that's all. Sell them a dummy. How do they engage them and put them on their toes? How?
Yes, and that is why this election is very crucial, because what the media is facing, other sectors of the economy is also going through that same phase, which is that the economy is not growing, and so we're having challenges in every other sector. And then we are demanding from the candidates, what quality are you bringing in? And as part of our roles, which you've highlighted, is the agenda. Now, it is easy to say, okay, this is the most competent, but what parameter are you using to make that conclusion? It is the media, for instance, that will give you all the facts. Truth can be subjective, because what may be true to you I might have a problem accepting it. But there are certain things that we cannot dispute, the facts. You can say this candidate is the most qualified. That's subjective. But we cannot debate the facts. If, for instance, historical performances have shown that this person knows what he's up to, and if historical records have shown that this person is of questionable integrity, so we begin to say, okay, but we don't draw the conclusion. That is why this program is very, very important. I appreciate you for launching such a forum, because this is the fact. The journalists or the media, it is unethical for us to take a position.
Thank you for appreciating us. So it's unethical.
Yes, exactly. So it is unethical for us to impute our bias into our report. So what we do is simply to lay out the facts the way they are. It is now the voters, and that is why I'm appreciating you for what you're doing. Because if the voters don't understand their role, they will end up recruiting a terrible CEO for Nigeria. So it is
for their states.
Exactly, or for their state, because we make this error thinking that the presidential election is the key, is the only thing. Beyond the presidential election, we have the assembly elections, we have the senatorial, we have the House of Reps, the governorship. So the voter has to be equipped with the appropriate information to make sound decision. Because when you go to that, when you're given those ballot papers, it is no longer your conscience. Because of that, when you want to rely on your conscience may mislead you. It is now based on information and facts available to you. Because your conscience might pander to your sentiment, but the facts are available to you, so that you don't recruit somebody that will further sink us below where we are. Yeah. So that's just the reality of it.
Yes. Before I go further, I ask a pertinent question, and that is, okay, let's look at the niche.
Yeah.
Are you planning to doing something? You have a readership followership.
Yes.
Or your own catchment area.
Yes, yes.
Do you have something that you want to do, bring in and creating a platform for, even if it's just a House of Rep that is in your area of operation, to interact? We'll have a time with him, because these politicians, nobody gives and tackles them. That's why they behave the way they behave.
Yes.
But I want to believe that if they are tackled,
tackled
in terms of engagement, that's what I mean. Not that
Exactly.
we will fight them.
And that is another agenda that we have also set
Okay.
in this election.
Okay.
You would have noticed that in the last town hall debate held for some of the presidential candidates,
Yes.
fact checkers were right on the spot,
Okay.
fact checking those candidates, because if the quality of your research is poor,
Yes.
then the quality of your solution will also be dubious.
That's
It will be suspect, and so we're also checking them. In 2019,
Are those candidates aware that the checkers are on ground?
in fact, they reeled out the records for them that day.
Okay.
They reeled out the records for them,
Okay.
and some of them scored. They failed some of those claims that they made.
So
now,
making.
now you see that consciousness to go and do quality research before you come and bamboozle the people
Okay.
with all kinds of semantics.
So the media too has a role to fact check on behalf
those
of the people, of the voters.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because look, politicians are smart. They know that people love.
Can the voters now rely on the fact check conducted by the media, because the media in this situation may now be compromised?
Because we don't fact check opinion.
Yes.
So because the opinion is subjective.
Yes.
What we fact check are facts.
Facts on
and
ground.
we fact check facts. We use credible sources. If it is an economic, the person is making claim on the economy, then what are some of the resources that we have? We have the NBS, National Bureau of Statistics, we have Central Bank, we have the World Bank, we have AFDB, we have IMF. So these are the resources that we could use to confirm.
Okay,
if you say that you've never borrowed a dime as governor, you go to debt management office and see during your time. Is that the situation of things? Ground? So these are the areas that, because we cannot fact check opinion.
Okay.
The person can claim that I will create 5 million jobs.
Okay.
We'll leave for that. But if you claim that you didn't borrow a kobo as governor, that is easy to fact check.
So the civil society, which again the media is part
where we belong, yes.
No doubt, I'm part of you, and
yes.
I know that you have done a lot in area of developing democracy. Which again, one will give kudos to the civil society, because during the Second and First Republic they were not there. But this First Republic, they've come up very well. Can we say that they have done well, or there is still room for improvement, particularly as the general elections are coming? So far, how can you rate?
The civil society has been very critical to the development and sustenance of Nigeria's democracy.
Yes.
And even
meanwhile, sorry, for people out there, who are these people that you call civil society?
We're talking. We're referring to the non-governmental organizations, people who are out of passion for this country, for development. Exactly. They even put their lives at risk.
Yes.
To go monitor elections. Your organization, Voters Awareness Initiative, I know because I've been interviewing you for more than 5 or 6 years. So I know the work you've been doing. I relied on you, I think, in one of the elections in Anambra. I relied on you to give me facts on the ground. Exactly.
I became your reporter. I never knew I would be here.
You understand? So I wasn't there, but because you were there, I had access to some information. So the civil society, we must give kudos, because our work is almost related. And that's another issue that we have to also talk about. The risk involved, the attacks that when we are at a polling unit, those who want to rig election, they see us as a threat. And then many of our colleagues, the media and the civil society, have been attacked severally. And the police on duty, they don't bear arms. Once you're on the polling unit, they don't bear arms. So when thugs arrive at any polling station, before the man on the ground calls the team that bears arms, the damage is already done. And so these are some of the areas that I know that you will continue to highlight. How do we protect these people, so that, because no criminal wants him to be caught with the camera doing the act. and then he sees you as a threat, and he can do everything possible to kill that that thing from going out. So that's what we're talking about. We must continue to encourage our voters to seek the right information, and that is another challenge. The major source of information is the social media.
Yes.
That's the major source of information.
Yes.
But the journalists, or they call them citizen journalists on social media, are not bound by any ethics.
So fake news can come.
Fake news can come. They
can
in fact, because they want engagement on their sites, they want traffic, they also feed on fake news. They play on people's emotions. And the people also are also, you know, this bias. You're looking to confirm your bias. You love this candidate, and then you're not interested in what are the facts. If somebody just gives you something that supports that bias, you latch onto it. So we must know that whatever you see on, I'm happy that the feature that was run a few minutes ago emphasized about not spreading fake news.
And I'm coming there now.
Yes, whatever we see on social media, let's check it on other platforms. Has it been reported in the traditional media? If it has not been reported, be suspicious of that information, because the traditional media, we have
sources,
layers of even verifying our stories. If a reporter in the field sends his report, I'll go through, and if I'm in doubt, I'll call him again to give me more information about it before passing it to my editor. So it goes through those layer of checks.
Coming back to this fake news, because that's the main gist, and that's something that we'll confront with, and that is your own domain. It is seen that it is fake, what do they call it? Fake news. And it is the journalist that moves with news per se.
Yes.
Right. So how does the journalist now, your group as NUJ, your group as maybe political correspondent or whatever, how do you now see that you check? There must be, yes, everybody can go to social media, get a news and put it there. How can people now verify, oh, this one is fake news, oh, that one is a good news? How do we do that? How do we get to know?
Now, fake news has become so complex that even journalists fall victims of fake news because of the technology deployed in creating this fake news. Pictures can be manipulated to tell a story that doesn't exist. It is so serious that we have what we call deep fake, an image that is not human, but has been created to be a human and be attributed with certain information. So, but how do we have certain free resources. That is why, as journalists, we must update,
you may not disclose
update ourselves.
So that those who are obviously both good and bad people are watching.
Exactly.
But we want to believe that by the grace of God, those bad people will have a turnaround and become good. But that does not mean that we will divulge. I won't want you to divulge your strategy to combine it. But you know, there is a way that fake news can be.
We have our own way of identifying
fake news.
And the easiest way that we use to identify fake is who is your source. Source is everything for journalists. The source. You can't be talking about a bank and you're not talking about the head of corporate communication of that bank. I mean, you should have his phone number to get the information that has been put out. Or you are talking about a governor without talking about his chief press secretary. You understand? So the first major way that we do that is just to get this information is about who, and we get across to that party, and it is cleared. And that is why people should be careful in circulating any news that has not been published in traditional media.
Okay. The 2023 election, everybody is now awaiting it eagerly. Is there any special preparation, maybe that your own group, as an NUJ or so, is doing to journalists, giving them training, retraining, so that they will fit in? Because, you know, INEC has now improved. There is BIVAS, there is IREV, there's INEC Reservation Center and Viewing Center, for them to know the actual results. Is there anything that you, as journalists, are doing to ensuring that indeed you capture the results very well, one. Two, maybe reduce the level of violence and untoward activities?
Yes, and that is why we must also commend the NGOs, the civil society organizations. We've been partnering a lot. I know I've attended many. My colleagues, one of my colleagues attended one just yesterday, and it has to do with how do we do this job properly, so that by the time it is done, you can beat your chest and say that I'm satisfied with what we have done. I know that civil society organizations have also partnered with INEC and also media to also give us insight about these, the portal where the IREF, the portal where results will be displayed. How do we access it? How do we use it? So at what point should we also be suspicious that whatever results that is coming in the field does not, because one of the things that you know, on the day of the election, is that a number of results will be everywhere. Everybody is just churning out anything. But before the media will put any result on its website or its Twitter handle, it must have gone through certain basics. In fact, they get this result from their reporters in the field. Because not every media house can send reporters all over the polling units. Almost 200,000 polling units. No media house can do that. So, but the ones that you can do, you just do it. A couple of them that will be representative of that community. And one of the why I was very excited to be here is because elections generally are in 3 stages. And you said it before, during, and after. Very simple way of just understanding it. Now we are in the before the election. And in this before the election, this is the time for campaigns. This is time for manifestos. These are the times for ideas. Because generally politics is all about a contest of ideas. So this is the time that we should pay special attention to what are these people offering us. And what they're offering us, is it realistic? Is it something that they can do?
Doable.
Is it doable? We must also understand where Nigeria is as at today. A situation where we don't have extra money. So whatever money we get, we use it to pay our debt. So when somebody is telling you, I'm going to do A and B and C, how do you want to do it? Is it by taking more loans? You know, is it by taking more loans? You know, is it possible also? Is it sustainable? Because every 1 naira we get, we are using almost 1 naira to service the loan. So when you keep adding more, what's going to be the situation in the what situation are we living for our children? So this is where we are now. The before is very important, because if we miss the before, then the election itself will simply be a ceremony.
The during is messed up.
It's messed up. We will not have.
There won't be anything after.
I don't know. That is why we must get the before correct, because the after can be chaotic. Because people can just suffer for consequences that they bought. They use their own money to buy. And you can't complain.
Or for just entering a tap ignorantly. Ignorantly.
You can't complain. Where we've got to that point where you use the majority decide that this is our president. You can no longer complain.